Can you briefly introduce yourself to the audience?
Sure. My name is Du. I'm a co-founder and CEO at Stablelabs and also been a BD lead at Sky, used to call Maker though.
How long have you been in this industry?
So I first joined in crypto in 2017.
2017.
And then for Sky, I've been there since 2018.
If you could give one advice to other people who are interested in getting into this industry, what would that be? One single advice.
I would recommend against it, but at the same time, I would say that before they come into the industry, I would definitely recommend them to do their research and studies. I definitely saw there are a lot of people who are not so familiar with the industry, and then they were, for example, chasing, I would say, like money in the short term. But at the same time, of course, there's a lot of opportunity, but there's also a lot of risk. I mean, it's always nice to see people here, but at the same time, I also think that there were a lot of people who kind of had a misunderstanding about the industry. Now, I definitely think that it's definitely an industry with a lot of potential, but at the same time, it's also an industry that has been more established now. I mean, especially if you're doing, let's say, fundraising, I would say that you have to be really careful about the responsibility as well as the industry that you're contributing to.
Do you have any principles that you are trying to live up to be true to yourself? Because we're in this chaotic, fast-changing industry, and do you have any tips for that?
Yes, so I would say that always think about looking it from the future to the past. So for example, let's say 20 or 3 years from now on, when people, let's say, read about you or let's say your project, what would they say? Would they remember it as an interesting attempt that didn't work out? Would they read it as an experiment that actually ended up, let's say, causing harm? And I think that always kind of guide my direction and my decisions. Because of course, like we are in the industry where a lot of experiments are encouraged, but at the same time, we're also aware of the consequences of such. So I always think about from, okay, like let's say 20 or 30 years from now on, what would the history say about us?
Do you have anyone you respect in this crypto scene?
I think, it's of course a very difficult question because there are a lot of people I respect. Of course, I have a lot of respect for Arun, who's the co-founder and for Sky, used to call Maker, because once again, looking back on the principle of looking back in 20 or 30 years, he always also looking from 20 to 30 years and very long term, and always looking at what is the way to make impacts. And I would say that that's also part of the reason why I also still contribute to it, because I also agree that we're in a fortunate environment as well as very privileged to make such impacts, and he also strongly believes in it.
Last question will be like a dumb, fun kind of question. It's like a game. So you gotta choose one. For example, let's say you need to live with one person, one of these people. Would you rather live with Vitaly for a year or Michael Saylor for a year? Who would you rather live with?
So I actually don't think that Vitalik technically counts as a person because he's an alien. So I think the closest probably is Michael Saylor. At least he's a person.
Awesome. Thank you. Thank you so much for the interview.
Thank you.